Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. We are currently giving away one Veritasium token, the ever elusive Veritasium token. They took it off CoinMarketWatch, um, no, CoinMarketCap, which is owned by the deep state pedo cabal, so no surprise there. But the Cliff did mention that his data is no longer good. I, on the road to Ruta, absolutely see Veritasium as the exact same thing I've always seen it as. It's a hedge against the potential for any administration, but probably the Trump administration, to collapse the majority of the cryptos. He has many tools now. Bassett's not an idiot. They have many tools at their exposure. Exposure? They have many tools. um, Here's a scenario. Things start going crazy. They lose track of the derivative market, and Bassett and Trump say, or a judge says, Reggie Middleton's patents are absolutely enforceable, and anybody who violated that patent within the crypto industry, which is all of DeFi, and probably 95% are going to have to live up to what Reggie did. Reggie's patent. They have to give him a cut. It's not his fault that the U.S. government took him out. It wasn't his fault. He was working with the U.S. government. Like they said, just come, SEC, just come to us and work with us, and we'll we'll make sure you do it right. He was working with them, and they stabbed him in the back. They went behind him and told the Jamaican Stock Exchange not to use Veritasium when he had a MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding. So Reggie's been in purgatory for a very long time. The reason I think you need to have one of the Veritasium tokens is as a hedge against all your other cryptos. Do I think it's a long shot? Absolutely. But would that long shot pay off if the Trump administration wanted to throw a monkey wrench into the middle of cryptos? Yeah, especially because the Trump administration, the Trump family, is in huge violation of Reggie's patents. Will Trump fall on the sword for that? Yeah, he could. But yeah, definitely get yourself a Veritasium token. We're giving away one with a private road subscription. Go check it out at roadtoruta.com. Click on subscribe today. Anyway, I do want to talk about the derivative situation with gold and silver and all derivatives. The crashing of the system. I posted a video yesterday. Here's another one. I'm talking to Jenny Moonstone later today. That'll be posted on the private road. We're going to go deep into all this stuff, including what's going on with silver. Silver is still the man. Silver is hanging strong. There are three criteria. Three criteria when you're looking to invest. When I'm looking to invest. Now, this is not investment advice, but this is a very unique time in human history with the largest derivative exposure ever on planet Earth. Let me show you and how we got there. As of the first quarter, 2025, a total of 1,213 insured U.S. national, state, commercial banks and savings associations held derivatives. So everybody's got them. The derivative notional amounts, this is for the first quarter, increased first quarter of 2025 by $23.9 trillion in one quarter, or 12.8% to $210.4 trillion. And this second month is going to be even larger than that. But I ran the calculation as if it's the same. The same is going on. It's going to be larger than 12%, but I ran 12%. That puts us at a total of 237 trillion. This is just for U.S. banks too, and savings alone. This is not for the world. That's in the quadrillion, 3 quadrillion. But just for U.S., the U.S. stuff, we're at 237.3 after the second quarter. That's my estimate based on another growth of 12.8%. It's probably bigger than 12.8% because there's been more drama going on. So $237 trillion puts us above the 2013 all-time high of 236 trillion. So this next quarter is going to be jumping up just above where we were in 2013. To put this on context, 2008 is right here. Right before 2008, there was a massive jump from 2007. We all know the derivatives were a major problem in 2008. So many things were washed under in that financial crisis. And the word was they were going to, get rid of many of the derivatives as possible. Problem is, you can't get rid of derivatives if you're going to run a fraudulent system. That's what you use to hold up the system. So the bigger the derivative bubble, the more strain the system is under. And given that next quarter, I don't know when they release the numbers, will be bigger than ever in the history of mankind, tells you exactly how much trouble we're in and exactly how much pain this is going to cause. In 2008, we were hours away from everything stopping. So in 2025, I believe we'll be hours away from everything stopping and a non-functioning government. and the winning party is the entity with the most debt, which is the United States of America, if you believe the numbers. Now, we know from Catherine Austin Fitts, we know from Mark Skidmore, we know from Elon Musk that the United States of America has been not exactly truthful with how much money they're printing. They're at infinity now. There's 14 computers within 14 government agencies just printing money from nothing, without anything behind it, not issuing bonds, not doing anything, just paying bills and paying off people through these 14 computers. It could shock you, but even Catherine Austin Fitts had it at like 30 trillion in bond faking, and then it went up to 100 trillion after Skidmore did more research. So when does quadrillion, decatillion, infinity money hit? It's hitting now, and it's not like I'm the only one in the world who knows that. It's not like Catherine Austin Fitts or Mark Skidmore or Elon are the only people who know this. Everybody around the world who's interested in finance should know this. And this is the end game. It was always the end game. It's what Ruta wrote in the sand. Print infinity money, soak up all the benefits of unbacked fiat money, and then crash the system because you have the most debt. And that debt goes away. Will it be chaotic? Absolutely. I do think Cliff is wrong in his assessment that there's not going to be a crash. I think it has to be a crash to wipe out the derivative market. I mean, look at this. It's completely and totally insane. If you look at the derivatives held by the four big banks who are in the middle of silver rigging, JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo on an odd scale, they're all of a sudden having to deliver massive amounts, along with HSBC, but I would call that a foreign bank, although they have a U.S. holding. I mean, look at this. JP Morgan Chase has $323 billion of derivatives related to gold and silver and platinum and palladium. The majority is gold and silver. Because the gold's price, it's probably, in dollar-wise, mostly gold. But we all know from the previous reporting by the OCC that JP Morgan Chase holds more than half of all the derivatives in silver and controls the market. And and let's talk about how important these banks are. Four mega banks on Wall Street hold $3.2 trillion in uninsured deposits. It's a poison pill type of thing. I wouldn't call it a poison pill. It's a situation that the banks know, these four banks know, if they get way out over their skis, the only choice that the government and the people have is to bail them out. That's why they get so hyper leveraged. JP Morgan has 55 trillion in derivatives with a T. That's massive counterparty risk. 55 trillion. It's shocking when you think about it. And who are these four banks they're talking about? Right down here. JP Morgan Chase, 1.15 trillion in uninsured deposits. Wells Fargo, 652 billion of uninsured deposits. Citibank, 594 billion of uninsured deposits. Bank of America, 921 billion of uninsured deposits. Are they going to go away? Are the rich people going to lose? They usually don't. But then we have to cover it over with more derivatives and more derivatives. At some point, everything must come home to roost. Presidents, secretaries of the Treasury for the last 120 years have been kicking this can down the road like you would not believe. But as you can tell, our country is broken. Our world is broken financially. 99% of the unbacked fiat blips are owned by less than 1% of the people, and they're all bad guys. They're all in on it. A trillion here, a trillion there. Does it really matter? At some point, they don't care about us. They care about keeping that system going. Oh, the stock market's going up. Wahoo! Why is it going up? Because the U.S. government's buying it every time it takes a dip. With the 14 computers. Trump loves that shit. He's a rigger. But at some point, he acknowledges he's the only guy who can do this. We've never had a president who had the balls to pull the plug on this game. He almost did in 2019 when he charged J.P. Morgan with RICO charges in the rigging of the gold and silver markets. And then that was thrown out in a settlement. This is... I can't stress enough that we cannot move forward with the current situation. It has to be destroyed. 3 quadrillion in derivatives have to be destroyed to move forward. And I'm not quite sure why Cliff is not cognizant of that, or it's not in his data. Things change. Well, the derivative bubble has not changed. It has decided not to change. It is going to be, when this next quarter is released, it's going to be the highest amount ever. It will be over $237 trillion dollars. Billion, trillion, quadrillion, what does it matter? And this is just for the U.S. banks. The rest of the world having bigger derivatives. England is, and Deutsche Bank, that's what they had to get bailed out for. Did they get bailed out by China? Probably. This is so big and so dangerous. It's held together through derivatives and computers. This can't move forward if humanity is going to move forward. If this stays together, we're going to move into the world that Dick Allgaier and friends seem to love these days, which is bizarre to me. That anybody would be so giddy about explaining how these bad guys are going to control our lives forever. I don't think so. I think we will have a chance, a shot, when the derivative bubble implodes. And then we can decide, do we turn to the BIS? Do we turn to the World Bank? Do we turn to the people that Dick Allgaier is so afraid of? Or do we say, I'm a sovereign individual, I'm absolutely declaring that my country is free. I was just in El Salvador for a week, and that's what it felt like there. They declared their country is free. And they are moving forward. There's so much investment going into it. Problems will be like all problems. You know, they threw a lot of the politicians in jail, and the gang members and the cartels and all that. But you have a vacuum of bad guys. And somebody's going to jump in and take that role. But for right now, at least they have a shot at freedom. And the people are wonderful, and they understand the gift they've been given, the ability potentially to run their own lives. In the United States of America, we think we already have that, but we don't. You have to pay bills. You have to go to these ridiculous things called colleges. And then now we're finding out you get out of college, you spend a couple $100,000 on your college education, and you can't even get a job. It's going to take all the jobs. So what do you do? Again, my 3 rules of investing. Not again. I'm going to tell you right now. I just wrote them down. This is after the crash investing. This crash is going to come no matter what anybody says. It has to come. The derivative bubble is not going down and going away. It is going up, up, up. If you thought we were close in 2008, the next time it happens, it'll be 10 times as bad in so many ways, and there will be no bailouts. 3 objectives for investing that I have been screaming for so long. Number one, the most important thing about right now, this whole situation, have your assets in your own possession. No third-party counterparty risk. None. You can see with these derivatives that nothing financial will be standing when they blow. JP Morgan, 55 trillion in derivatives, and are the kingpins, the financial kingpins of the Jeffrey Epstein world. Why are they still around? Why has Trump stopped on paused on the Epstein release? Because JP Morgan was knee deep in it. The individuals at upper management, including the board of directors, knee deep in it. Who was the only bank for Jeffrey Epstein? JP Morgan Chase. Who was the only bank for Bernie Madoff? JP Morgan Chase. And they're not passive participants. They are active participants. And that's why Trump, I think, other than the Democrats putting a whole bunch of fake videos and stuff in the evidence file, which you can do these days. I mean, you can have AI make you a fake video of Trump doing anything to anybody. And then you throw it in the evidence file, and it's just complete setup. But they had to. Their lives are at risk. The Obama, the Bush, the pedo cabal, Biden family, they're at risk of being tried for treason. I think they should be, absolutely. Anyway, so that's number one, no third-party risk. Number two, after the crash investing, what you want after the crash, something that's a necessity. The use case is a necessity. Silver will be a necessity after the crash to restart everything. We have amazing technology that's being built, and it needs a lot of silver. That's one and two. No third-party risk. Invest in something that's a necessity, that's what I love about holding Theta, and especially T-Fuel going forward. It will be a necessity. If China invades Taiwan, which they're going to, this is not, it's just a matter of when. Unless Taiwan says, yeah, okay, China, we're part of you. And China will win. And we won't come to the defense of China. We shouldn't even be over there now. Or Taiwan. If China invades Taiwan, the chip manufacturers can't ship anything. I'm not saying ever again, but immediately, there's going to be no chips out there. None of the high-end chips. So what do? Well, you got to use what we already have. That's what Theta invented. A way to share everybody's excess capacity. And it's massive. It's so big that none of the crypto people know it. It's shocking to me that crypto people just chase the shiny object. But hey, go for it. Invest in your XRP. Good luck with that in the derivative world. Stablecoins, the worst thing ever for cryptos, because if they go down, we've been fretting that Tether would go down and take the whole crypto complex with it. Now we're putting Tether on steroids, and everybody and their mother is starting a stablecoin. You're intertwining the solution with the problem. Another reason I highly recommend holding a Veritasium token. All right, and number four, the investment should align with the sovereign objectives of your country. Where you live is important after the crash. Certain countries will just, I can't even imagine what Canada's going to do. Yeah, and Australia. They're going to try to lock up the deep state and all that. Can they do it? I don't know. They're going to try to lock it up. Oh, we need communism, which has failed always. The United States, think about what we're going to need. We already have on the books gold and silver as money. So anything minted by the U.S. Mint in the form of silver and gold, platinum and palladium is already legally part of the monetary system. Yes, we don't use it right now, but remember what happens when this derivative goes off. There's no more Federal Reserve notes around. There's no checking accounts, savings accounts. We have to go to something. The obvious thing is what's on the books. The second most obvious is cryptos can help a lot. But it'll be decentralized. As far as cryptos as a money, Will it be Bitcoin? I don't know. I don't like the Bitcoin core developers who stole Bitcoin. Bitcoin was a peer-to-peer cash system. It was created by Satoshi as a peer-to-peer cash system, not a store of value. It's unusable as a cash system. And oh, by the way, yes, Lightning Network completely violates the Reggie Middleton patent. But hey, so does XRP. That's why I say you have to have at least one Veri token if you're a crypto investor, just as insurance. All right. So back to JP Morgan, the criminal cabal. If you could see, silver, I don't know if JP Morgan is net long or net short, or I don't think it even matters. I think they're more in tune with how can we keep rigging the markets? How can we control the price of silver? Now, in 2019, when Trump was about to take him out, his DOJ charged JP Morgan with RICO charges for rigging the gold and silver market. Ultimately, they settled. They didn't get the RICO charges. Even though we had all the emails of different banks talking to each other, that's what RICO is. It's a conspiracy between different individuals on a financial level. Racketeering. It's racketeering. Of course, JP Morgan Chase. I mean, you can go with RICO charges with Jeffrey Epstein stuff or Bernie Madoff stuff. It's all racketeering. That's all that JP Morgan does. They are the arm of the deep state pedo cabal. Anyway, but they hold all the silver, believe it or not. And they leased it out to Bank of America, which we saw. And then they leased it out to HSBC, subleased it HSBC, Wells Fargo. That's how Wells Fargo got in the middle of this shit. They don't want to be delivering all the silver. But, hey, it was cheap money at the time. You lease silver at less than 1%. You sell it, you take that cash, and you lend it out for 5 years at 6 or 7%. That's quite a game. But you forgot, at the end of the day, you got to get that silver back. So let's look at the COMEX warehouses. Everybody's like, well, Bix, there's so much silver. The COMEX warehouses are filling up. Is there really? Let's see. COMEX warehouse silver stocks registered in the dark green right here. That's what really jumped up. And then eligible, a total of 500 million ounces. A little over 500 million ounces in the COMEX depository. Now, here's a question you can ask yourself. If JP Morgan Chase is the, quote, custodian of SLV, how many ounces of SLV are they custodian for? It's 500, right now, 534 million ounces. Where does JP Morgan Chase keep all its silver for SLV? If they have it, where do they keep it? In all COMEX designated warehouses. So of this 500 million ounces, 534 million of these ounces belong to SLV, belong to the shareholders of SLV. They don't belong to JP Morgan. They don't belong to BlackRock. It should be obvious to everybody that something is wrong. And you look at all the ETFs, there is, I did a little search on ChatGPT, 774 million ounces in ETFs. Where are they? I mean, these banks do not waver from COMEX approved warehouses because of the very simple fact it is so hard to get it back in. If you pull it out of a COMEX warehouse, the re-registration of that silver is so hard to do. It's shocking. Now, at some point, they'll beg for any metal. But then you're going to have to drill every bar because we don't know how much of that's tungsten. LBMA warehouses, nobody believes that they're real anyway. But I can guarantee you that the ETF metal is mixed within that as well. Nobody really knows how much physical silver is left. I do see a strain. I see right now the banking cabal, which is like 99% of the trades on the COMEX, are like running for the exits on the September delivery month. Another 25 million ounces was dropped off and rolled forward. Why? Because I don't think they have enough to deliver over, 50 or 60 million ounces. And it is a delivery month. Theoretically, with the way this year has been going, they should be delivering 70, 80 million ounces. but it doesn't look like they're going to. We're not even halfway through the month, and they're already rolling over contracts, paying off contracts, exchange for physicals, things like that. We're right now at 350 million ounces. Usually that number's like, a week out. We're 2.5 weeks out. So keep an eye on that. I don't think the COMEX, you can't really look towards the COMEX for anything exciting to happen. Yes, that's where they determine price, but the COMEX plays by their own rules. And they lie, they cheat, they steal so that they always come out on ahead. And at some point, there will be a force majeure on the COMEX. And people will freak out. The price of silver, who knows where it goes? It's priced on the COMEX. Where would it be priced? LBMA is not an exchange. Shanghai exchange, yeah, maybe. But it's way higher than the U.S. exchanges. And if that happens, all of a sudden all eyes are on silver, and U.S. investors chase the shiny object. You won't be able to get silver. I think by the end of next year, you won't be able to get silver through the regular channels, through the coin shops, through, it'll go right from the mine to the mints, sovereign mints, from the mine to the manufacturers. Now in the U.S., I hope to God that we vote for free markets. Dick Allgaier says, no, we're screwed. We'll always be screwed, and we're screwed. There's nothing you can do about it, Bix. You're naive to think anything but bend over and take it. That's the Dick Allgaier motto. Bend over and take it. And my motto is, hell no, I'm not going to take it. No, I don't think anybody in the United States should. And a lot of people are fighting back. And I love that about humanity. We know it's wrong. We know our lives shouldn't be controlled by these criminals. So I'd rather go out, I'd die fighting than die under their rule. And it might come to that. I don't know who would be fighting who. So many lefties are waking up to the fact that the vaccine was a hoax. And more people are dying from the vaccine and literally being debilitated by the after effects than you can even imagine. And we don't know. Luckily, we got RFK Jr. out there, fighting the fight on the health front, which is great. It's making the lefties, the anti-Trumpers, heads spin. And I love it. All right. Again, yes, there has been an increase of 200 million ounces in this year into the COMEX, quote, COMEX warehouses, partially because of the increase in SLV. And I think partially because all these JP Morgan leases have to be returned. And nobody wants to take their silver out of the COMEX warehouses because they're already certified. And it's really hard to get recertified when it goes out. So they keep it there. So I look at that, I say, well, that's pretty much all the silver there is. Now, I think 40 million ounces in Shanghai. London, who knows? They lie. That's the most corrupt association you'll ever find on the planet. But the reality is, when you look at the ETFs, the ETF metal, which is 700 and something, is probably much bigger than the actual warehouses counted on an individual ounce basis, not rehypothecating, counting LBMA inventory as CME inventory, which JP Morgan absolutely 100% does, and same with their cronies. Very good time to be a silver holder. It's the end of the game. Now, retail investors, they chase shiny objects. So after 50, when silver hits 40 and $50, that's when the U.S. retail side will start coming in, and that's when force majeure probably will be declared. Could happen any day. I think September is a good time to get up to 50, and then by the end of the year, who knows? Now, Jenny sees it between 40 and 50. I'll be talking to her about that later today, throughout the year. But she doesn't see any slams. There are no slams coming for silver below the moving averages. And if it does happen, it'll be so brief, it'll just make your head spin. All right, that's what I got for you today. Go to roadtoruta.com. We are currently giving away one Veritasium token, the ever-elusive Veritasium token with every subscription and renewal. Go check it out. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.